welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Sagittarius, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of January 2024. I hope you're well and Happy New Year to you. Before the reading begins, if it resonates with you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That's the first link in the description box. Second link in the description box is to my private community, which is the Order of the Phoenix over on the Circle platform. You can get access to all of the extended content, plus hang out with an extraordinary group of people. So if that's something that sounds like it might be of interest to you, that's link number 2. Link number 3 are 2 3-month overviews that I've done for each of the signs. They run from January to March 2024. And I made the executive decision to cut my usual 6-month overviews in half on account of the fact that the energy of April is very, very interesting. And it's so interesting that if I were to do 6-month overviews, I feel like we'd kind of skip over in our rush to get to April and find out what that's all about. We kind of skip over these first 3 months, and these first 3 months feel pivotal for all of the signs. I would say you of all of the signs are the ones that I think most need to watch those 3-month overviews, but I'm not going to push them. It's there. Avail yourself if you want them. If not, yeah, that's also fine. That's the third link in the description box. So let's have a look and see what's going on with you, Sag. Can I have 3 cards for Sagittarius? Okay, that one flew out. We have the World card to start. About current energy, please, for Sagittarius. What's the current energy of Sagittarius? We have the Page of Wands. And what about what's coming towards Sagittarius, please, for January? We have the Hierophant. I'm not really that surprised to see that card there for you. But I'll get into that for in a second. Right, so we've got double pages. I've got the Page of Pentacles sitting at the bottom of the deck. I mean, both pages speak in their own ways about initiation. That's what they're talking about, but we'll get into that more shortly. It's interesting that we have cards of completion and initiation all happening in the same reading for you in January. Maybe it's not that much of a surprise, but oh, fuck, that's one of the dropping the cards everywhere. Let's have a look. Let's see why these are here. Why is the World card here, please? We have the Two of Cups. We have the Ace of Wands and the King of Swords. Lovely. Okay. What about the Page of Wands, please? We have the Ten of Cups. And the Page of Pentacles again. Tell me about the Wise one, please. We've got the Knight of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles. Right. So you've got triple ace. Triple pages, double aces, the World card, and the Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck. Now, that's a card of Pisces, right there. And it can talk to, at its most basic, it can talk to a change of perspective in some way or another, right? Sometimes this card comes up when our worldview entirely shifts. And I think there could be something of that for some of you Sagittarians. I feel like it's a sliding scale though, because for some of you it's going to be just an intensification of what you already know, what you already believe. Let's not forget, you know, Jupiter is your ruling planet, and so what you believe is incredibly important, as it is for everyone actually. But there's, again, Sagittarius, there's that whole new level of faith and self-belief that sits on the top as part of your archetype, right? Because you're ruled by Jupiter. So we can see it as that, but other times it really can represent an incredible shift away from what you have considered in the past to be valuable. And I would draw your attention to the fact that we have Pentacles all over here, initiation Pentacles specifically, which deal with investing your energy into something new. But the Hanged Man is also about the acquisition of wisdom, right? It's putting yourself into an uncomfortable position so that you can grow, learn, expand, you know, do all of those things that Jupiterian ruled signs love to do. And, you know, on top of everything else, it's another sign whose traditional ruler was Jupiter. Let's have a look what we got. We've got Justice underneath there. I did wonder if Justice was going to put in an appearance, because there's something kind of fated and there's something kind of karmic about what I'm seeing playing out here for you. It's underneath that page there, 3 of Cups. It's very clear that people are becoming increasingly important. Now, I'm going to pull up the John Bauer deck and just have it on hand because I feel like we'll probably need to refer to this at points. But where the pages differ from the aces, and I feel like we should probably go over this for just a second so that you see where I'm coming from. Right? The aces are seeds. They are pure potentiality of whatever suit they represent. So the Ace of Wands is the pure potential of fire. It is creativity. It is passion. It is things that you are, so enthusiastic about that you change your behaviors in order to incorporate these things into your life more, right? It's a very sparky energy. Page of Pentacles is about putting your attention on something that you haven't really considered to this fullest extent before and really investing. The pentacles for me are energetic currency. So what you have to invest is a pentacle. That can be your time, your care, your effort, can be your money, can be your love, your attention, your energy generally, right? We're investing something somewhere. And these are all so new that they're outside of your sphere of experience, right? They're initiating a new cycle of some description. The pages have that same initiatory quality to them, but what they do is they take something that you already have, that you're already exposed to, that is already in your life, and they shape it, mold it, turn it into something else. Or indeed, experiences do that to you. But the important difference is that we've got something in hand. Something exists, and we're seeing the value of it in a new way. In the case of the Pentacles, or we're getting ready for movement in the page, right? Let's not forget that the Page of Wands sits before the Knight of Wands, which is you, which is that, active movement, active expression outwards. So we've got change being the theme somewhat for the reading. Change of you, change of your perspective, change of what you consider to be valuable. Like, I can't quite get away from the fact that these pentacles look like they're sitting behind the head of the Hanged Man. And that's probably on point for what we're feeling here. Sometimes the Hanged Man requires you to make yourself a little uncomfortable in order to address these things. But I think it's the way in which Sagittarius is turning their life direction, what it is that you're dedicating yourself to and what it is that you're investing in, that is proving to be the thing that... See, I feel like discomfort is the wrong word to use for you here. But it's new, it's novel, and that's not usually something that bothers Sagittarians. But it feels like your whole view of reality is being challenged. And what you consider to be good evidence is now presenting you with the idea that it's different to the way that you thought it was. And that takes a little bit of adjustment. I don't think it's necessarily uncomfortable for you, but it's certainly challenging a lot of things that you have up until this point held to be true. So we start over here with the World card. And the World card represents the end of a cycle of some sort or another. We can see this card pop up when people decide to move house, and by extension, they move away from perhaps relationships that were geographically located in that area. We see it tying up old jobs and things like that. But we can also see it when people make some considerable progress in their own personal work, to the extent that they are not the same person that they were when, at the level of the Fool, they entered the cycle that culminates in the World. Now, that cycle generally, because it's represented by major arcana, include huge life events. And the World card is almost like the processing of these life events up to the point where you're ready to start showing up in the world differently, doing things differently, showing up in relationships differently. That could be, I would just pluck something out of my head, any kind of childhood trauma that you've worked through. These tend to be long cycles. Childhood trauma, CPTSD, narcissistic relationships, abusive shit, right? Just working it all out and going, I am completely reinvigorating is not the right word necessarily, but like completely reinventing myself, because I have more information now than I had at the point where I started this cycle. You know, you are far more capable of being in a relationship now than ever you have been before. And if you're not in a relationship, I would say that you're probably ready for one. For those of you who are in a relationship, it's like it doesn't stop being a teaching moment for you ever. Like I'm feeling a great swell of affection just rising up from here for the people that you have in your life, because ultimately this Two of Cups does not speak specifically to you and your significant other. It can, but there's so much more going on in this card than just that. This is about the experience of intimacy, and by extension then how vulnerable you're allowing yourself to be around other people. The deepening of your relationships, the deepening of your bonds, right? With that Ace of Wands, the funny feeling that I have of this is actually dedication. You know, what Sagittarius hasn't had any problem with is finding where the fun is. But we've talked a lot over the last 4 years, Sagittarius, and I think that a lot of you recognise that some of the behaviours that felt like it was just the pursuit of fun and making your life interesting and whatnot were actually escapism. It was escapist behaviours, constantly running towards the next new thing because it stops you from having to worry about being too vulnerable in this thing over here. This King of Swords is a reference to the fact that you really have sorted out mentally and emotionally, and perhaps even behaviourally, some of the things that kept you in the previous cycle. Now, I can't get through a reading without mentioning that Pluto is moving into Aquarius, and there it is. If you're in the UK, it happens at 1 a.m. on the 21st of January. If you're in the States, then it's going to be at some point during the 20th for you, the afternoon, evening of the 20th. And this is huge. This is an era-defining shift. And so I'm really, really pleased to see that Sagittarius has been screeching over the finish line, you know, right the way through Pluto in Capricorn, and saying, I'm ready for the new world. There's something quite, I won't say similar. That's not right. I think between Aquarius and Sagittarius, there's a bit of an appreciation of breaking down structures. You know, these are the two most revolutionary signs of the zodiac, and although you come at things from very different perspectives, there's a nod that you can do to each other because you understand where you're coming from. You know, your freedom is incredibly important, and you might have different ways of approaching it, but the point is Pluto moving into Aquarius is going to be an era defining change for everyone, and you've arrived exactly here as you were supposed to be, having learned what you're supposed to learn, ready for the initiation of a new cycle, not just for you, but for the world generally. Now, when we move into your current energy, we've got the Page of Wands, and I really love this combination of cards for you, because they both speak to, like I said, understanding the value of something, preparing for something. Well, we've got all of those kind of, you know, interpretations of this card. But what these two pages seem to signal more than anything else is an awareness that we're all starting again, and that's okay, but you have a real skill set to bring to whatever is moving forwards. And the corollary of that is any kind of self-doubt, any kind of issues around self-worth, they really have ironed themselves out. And now you're looking at this first step and saying, right, what do I bring? What do I bring to my most intimate relationships? What do I bring to the bigger relationships, you know, the bigger dynamics that I'm a part of? How can I bring what I have, what I know, what I have learned to the community setting, right? And when I say community setting, this can be, you know, your friendship groups, your family groups, whoever. But it could be, actually could be considerably bigger than that, Sagittarius. We could be talking about, you know, yeah, the community that you live in, or the The collective well-being of the planet, to be honest. It's a 10. So it represents an ending of sorts. We have another card that represents an ending of sorts. And I seem to have spent a lot of time talking about the 10s recently. Because generally speaking, the 10 of Cups and the 10 of Pentacles, which are the cards that people want to see in their readings, are the ones that have the sting in the tail. They're the ones that people don't want to release, let go of when it is time for these things to evolve and change, for the dynamic to shift. I think you're well prepared for that. So I just want to pull out the John Bauer here at this point. Yeah, we have the Sun card. And we have the Ace of Pentacles. I would not be surprised if a lot of Sagittarians are literally relocating at this point. But you're not doing it with the intention of isolating yourself away from the rest of the planet. It feels like wherever you go and whatever it is that you're doing, you're intending on bringing your fiery light to wherever you go. And people are a really important part of that for you. Now, there are lots of reasons for that. And some of those were very, very clear in the 3-month overviews that I did. Because the other thing that's kind of screaming out from the cards here is an awareness that there is a purpose for you. Now, it's not just a hope. It's not just a vague inclination. Like, there's a solid appreciation of the fact that Sagittarius is here to do something. That you want to be part of a meaningful community where people are looking after each other and their own shit, you know? There's a very conscious investment in people going on here. And I think that that's incredibly important, because I think the astrology of the next few years is not comfortable. And I really do feel that there are two things that people need in order to get through this in the best possible way. The first is to know yourself. That is hands down true for literally everyone. Because it is only in knowing yourself that you're going to be able to lean into what you feel is true, rather than this competing information that is over. I mean, fuck, we're just a few days into January already, and things are starting to get a bit surreal. Being able to discern between, you know, what thing has a little nugget of information in it but is being wildly misrepresented, for example, or what's a straight up lie, or what's straight up true. I mean, these themes are going to be playing out over 2024, and it's going to be quite overwhelming for everyone. So your shield to that situation is knowing yourself, trusting yourself, leaning into your instincts, leaning into the skill set that you've developed, and really pushing into investing in that. The second thing that everybody is going to need is community. And I think that certainly in the West, we've lost an idea of what that actually means. It's been a slow erosion over decades. But we're at the point now where people are like, fuck, we need to draw people together. And this is something that you do very well. I've described Sagittarius before as the social butterfly of the zodiac. I think you and Gemini could probably share that. But then you share an axis, so it's not really that much of a surprise. There's something very conscious about the way that you are approaching 2024 onwards. It's not hedonistic, let's just go from one thing to another. I think most Sagittarians have outgrown that for quite a while, right? We're interested now in becoming wise, in utilising what we have learned and making sure that it is for the benefit of all and not just us. You know, your sunny disposition, Sagittarius, is going to be a light in the dark for a lot of people this year. And I think that you know that. I really do think that you know that. Let's get one more for this. One more to go. 3 of Pentacles. I mean, touche. It's exactly this. Exactly so. You seem very focused on building with like-minded people, helping like-minded people, becoming very community-minded, having that interdependence. And let's face it, I mean, most of us were unable to really get involved in that in any kind of healthy, meaningful way when most of us have shades of codependence about the way that we've dealt with people in the past, or we've been completely avoidant, like, and that maybe is more true for you, Sagittarius, than everything else. Can't show up entirely vulnerable because I'll get rejected. So, can't invest too deeply in anything because it'll let me down, or the people will leave, or they'll see what I'm actually like and they'll decide that they don't want me, and then I'm going to have to go anyway. So we just keep everything light, keep everything shallow, and bounce across the top. I mean, that aspect of you, I feel, has been cleansed, purged, washed away. There's nothing of the small talk about you now, because you feel like you're infused with a mission, and it's a mission to bring people together. Now, I think I did warn people in the 3 month overview not to allow it to go too far and turn into cult leader behavior, because the caveat for you in all of this is that the capacity for that is there if you are not mindful and conscious about what you're doing at all points. Accidental cult leader. I think it would be a really good job title for Sagittarius. But that belongs to an old world. We're not about that. We're teaching personal responsibility. The teaching is important here, Sagittarius, because we've got that Hierophant there. We can't ignore the Hierophant. We won't ignore the Hierophant. But it feels like you're kind of hauling people up to your level and creating something. And this is very much in alignment with what Sagittarius does, where it has that vision. And your vision, where you can see clearer than everybody else, is in the importance of people coming together. It's not that you cease to be important anymore. It's that you're taking on an entirely different role. And there's a certain amount of trust that you need to employ in yourself, that you're taking yourself the right way. I do feel like January, and it's probably started already actually, is going to see new people popping up here, there and everywhere, who just right place, right time, right person, popping up here and there, and you're like, oh, you're really useful. What do you think about my vision? And that's a really cool vision. I've been looking for somewhere to employ my skill set. It's not that you're going to create a commune or anything like that. It's just that the attention is on the people. And there's something kind of magnetic about the way that you're bringing them towards you, and dragging people towards you. And it's this shared vision for what could be created together. So we move into the full energy of January. We've got this Taurus card here, the Wise One. Now, this has come up for a couple of other signs, and it's felt very much like trying to attach people, trying to nail down the status quo and not allow it to move, change, shift, whatever, right? The Hierophant card can be excessively restrictive and static. But I don't get that kind of feeling here for you, and I just even love the fact that there's always a reason why a particular deck wants to come out. We've got an equality sat here, and there are people who are, clearly wise and have things to offer others, and there are others who are more disciple-like. Acolyte, there we go. I was looking for the word. There's a word for the Hierophant card in the standard Waite-Smith. It is an acolyte card, right? There's an equality here, which is much more in keeping with what you and Aquarius stand for on a higher level, right? No gods, no masters, think for your fucking self, but let's work together to do something, create something that is really, really awesome. Like, everybody's got something to contribute. We don't have this Wise One elevated above the level of others. It's equal. And I do feel like this is the point where, well, it starts here. We see you shifting from this particular view that you have always had of yourself, that responsibility and duty and all those kind of things were the preserve of other people, the preserve of other signs, and starting to take your wisdom really seriously, starting to take what you have to offer really seriously. You already understand the importance of it, and you're already in a state of preparation for something. Like I said, some of you might literally be moving communities altogether, finding yourself a new one, what have you. But recognizing that everything that you have experienced now has a use case, not just in the things that you've experienced, but the way that you've been able to make sense of it and heal yourself. And that the universe seems to be pushing you towards acceptance of that wisdom. And positioning you where you're able to give it to other people too. Like I said, there's so much of an emphasis on you and people and coming together. And this may not even be geographically. I mean, this might be digitally. Some of you might be setting up, different groups online for stuff. That's possible too. I mean, if you want to really get out there, I mean, some of you might be setting up psychic networks between each other, right? There's nothing too weird for 2024. I want to make that really, really clear. Like the old rules do not apply anymore. There is nothing that is too weird for it to be off the table. Knight of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, open heart-centered consciousness, where you are leading from the heart, where you are giving to other people and receiving in return. But it's in the giving to other people where the investment is. Some of you might have skills that you want to teach to other people. Maybe you're setting up online courses, setting up communities where you can teach people these things. Right? This is where your energy is starting to go into January. What can you provide? What can you give? How can you invest for the benefit of all? What is the wisdom that you have to impart, and how are you going to share it? Let me add these. Yeah, look at that. 6 of Wands and 9 of Cups right there. Like, I think it's really interesting that we've got the Devil card sitting at the bottom of the deck here, because you seem to me to be some sort of anecdote to the energy of the Devil. If we look at what is wrong with the world, right, and this, I feel very comfortable in talking to you, Sagittarius, about these broader themes, as we notice that it's pretty heavy on broad themes for you this month. Sit down and think about all of the things that are wrong with the world at the moment. There's a litany of them. We can create this enormous list. Do we sit there and say, oh, well, everything's fucked, society is collapsing, yeah, civilization as we know it is collapsing, oh, it's all going to be horrible? Or do you, as Sagittarius, right, the sign that follows Scorpio, where everything is dying and it's death and it's decay and all that sort of thing, in that darkness, Sagittarius says, I have a vision. And everybody else goes, what do you mean you've got a vision? What can you see? And Sagittarius says, and it might be a little bit idealistic, but you've got to start somewhere, right? I see this, and I see people working together to do this. I see people coming together to create community gardens and feeding each other and, and helping each other out. I see this interdependence. I see this potential utopia that can come out of the chaotic, stagnant, toxic energy of where we are and what has broken down. A lot of people are going to go, that sounds really hopeful. That sounds like a light in the darkness. But we can't see it yet. And that's where Sagittarius goes, it's this way. I can see it. You lead people through the dark. Now there's going to come a point where other people are coming on board, and these are other people who have skill sets that you don't have. But that's fine, because you're not supposed to be able to do all the things all the time, right? Your vision is the thing. The wisdom that you have is the thing. These are what you can impart. This is creating the space for other people to come on board and go, right, well, okay, I'm really good at this, and I'm really good at that, I'm really good at the other. In whatever sense this applies, because I'm talking really, really broadly here for you, Sagittarius. What's important is you trusting your vision and then feeling motivated to do something about it, right? The 9 of Cups here is amazing. I feel like one of the other things, apart from the massive overwhelm of information that is going to be coming from very, very soon outwards is emotional stability. There are a couple of signs that really thrive in chaos, right? Scorpio thrives in chaos. Sagittarius thrives in chaos. Aquarius thrives in chaos. Capricorn, even to an extent, despises chaos, but uses chaos to create order. You've got this run of signs around the dark part of the year who can all take chaotic empty spaces or chaotic full spaces and thrive in their respective ways. And thriving is it. 6 of Wands. It's a card of victory, it's a card of success, but it is also a card of people looking up to you. How are you managing to do what you do? How do you keep yourself so positive? How do you keep your emotions in check? How do you keep yourself so aligned? In the past, it would have been, well, I just fucking pivot off, right? I don't take anything too deeply. I don't, I keep everything nice and shallow because that works. And if something gets a little bit too hard, then that saggy pivot will allow me to go off in a different direction. I just shut that door in my head and I'm fine. And we know that the things that you shut the door on in your mind didn't go away. And what's happened for you over this last 6 months is those doors have been opened. Was it September, October, November sort of time? I remember doing a reading for you saying, like, you can't fucking pivot anymore, Sag. What's your special superpower? Now you can't use the one that you've been born with. For Sagittarius to really dig in with themselves, and in doing so, you've powered yourself up to a degree that you've never seen before. And in the coming chaos, to be able to be like this will draw attention to you. People are going to be looking for a leader. People who are not people who have not done the same sort of work that you have done to the same extent that you have done it are going to be like, there's somebody who's done much more work. This is somebody who can help me. And they will be drawn towards you. Like I said, magnetism. There's a magnetism of people. This is what they're looking for. They're looking for the wisdom. They're looking for the perspective. They're looking for a way of balancing. Oh, fuck, even they've got the King of Cups underneath there, right? How do you manage your emotions when everything seems so dark? There's a superpower, if ever I've heard one. And we see you taking what you have learned and beginning the process of investing. It starts here. And you already have all of the things that you need for this, except people. People are on their way in. Oh, I love this for you, Sagittarius. This is absolutely amazing. Little short on the detail this month, but one of the things that made your reading, your 3-month overview, stand apart from everybody else's was just how big it was. And how much of a leaning into personal faith and personal, into a sense of self that has none of our usual bullshit over the top. Like, yeah, I'm really good at this. I do this really, really well. I can help people with this. Acknowledging your own depth. I think that's one of the things that the lack of the pivot taught you. Was how to acknowledge your own depth and work with it. And it seems to have elevated Sagittarius up a ton of levels already. And for everybody over the course of the 3 months, I saw this, exponential rise. But for no one was it more vertical than for you, Sagittarius. So I'm going to go over to the extended now, and maybe we might get a little bit more of the detail of the thing. So if you'd like to join me, you're very welcome to do so. Vimeo or Circle, the links for both are in the description box. But if not, This isn't you just talking the talk anymore, Sagittarius. This is you 100% walking the walk, and people are looking to you for that. So whatever small voice it is that is inside you that says you're here for something really important, now is the time to listen to it and do what it tells you to do. You know, head in the direction that it tells you to head. Because the rules of the game, as represented by Capricorn, the devil, like they're all going out the window. These things don't exist anymore. Our understanding of what society is, reality is, all that kind of thing, it's all about to be flipped on its head. So if there's something that seems a little wild and a little odd, maybe a little bit too much, chances are it's exactly what you're supposed to be doing this month. And I would lean into that. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very much. And I'll see you soon.